Hi, YouTube. Thank you for coming to my next live stream. I am super, super excited to be here and to talk about the information that I have today. I've been really, really enjoying doing these live streams, and it's super fun that people are actually like watching me live every single time. And so, thank you to anyone who's ever watched any of these streams live and anyone who's like commented live too. I really enjoy doing these because it's really fun to chat with people live, like on air technically. So I really appreciate anyone who's commented at all. It's really, really appreciated. So I hope everyone's doing well today and the weather is nice where you are. Hi, Live Panic. Thank you for coming. It was cold here yesterday, and then today it's like normal weather again, which I appreciate because it's too early for winter. So today I am super excited to talk about Doug DeVos. Gary says, "You're very welcome." Yay. Thanks for coming, Gary. Sorry, not Doug DeVos, Richard DeVos, who is one of the co-founders of Amway, who unfortunately passed away in, I think, 2018. I might be wrong. And so oh, hi, Skyhop. Thank you for coming. So today, the structure of this video is going to be a quick description of who Rich, not Doug, Rich DeVos is. And then we are going to jump into a video of Rich from 2004 in Tokyo, where he's just talking to a massive room of like probably 50,000 people about the heart behind Amway and the mindset you have to be successful in your Amway business. Of course, it's always mindset. It's never actual tangible tips, which is too bad. Rich says, "Hello, Heather." Hi, Rich. Thank you for coming, and I'm glad your gig went well the other day. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen now. And then we're going to get into the video, and I'm super excited for this. I've been looking forward to this all day. It's Wikipedia, I know, but I figured it's YouTube, and I can use Wikipedia on YouTube, just not at work or at school, of course. So we're just going to read this quickly so we have an idea of who Rich DeVos was. Richard Marvin DeVos was an American billionaire businessman and co-founder of Amway with Jay Van Andel. He was also the owner of the Orlando Magic basketball team. In 2012, Forbes listed him as the 60th wealthiest person in the United States and the 205th richest in the world, with an estimated net worth of $5.1 billion. So he's super, super rich, obviously. We don't really need to know about his early life. So let's see. Amway. DeVos and his friend Jay Van Andel co-founded Amway in 1959 as a multi-level marketing business to distribute cleaning products. Following the business model that they observed in a previous venture together, they ran the business together, expanding it over the decades into an international distributor of a wide variety of products. He's also written a lot of books, which he's going to talk about in this video. Books written by him include Compassionate Capitalism and Hope from the Heart, 10 Lessons for Life. The latter reflects his feelings after successfully undergoing a heart transplant operation in the United Kingdom in 1997 after being turned down for a transplant in the United States because of his age and diabetes. We are going to learn more about that journey, and we're actually going to meet the doctor who performed that surgery during our video that we're going to watch. So he's also owned a bunch of sports teams. He was the owner of NBA team Orlando Magic, having bought the team in 1991 for $85 million. He also formerly owned the Orlando Solar Bears, the Grand Rapids Griffins, and the Kansas City Blades, 3 International Hockey League franchises before the league folded. Yeah, so he owned hockey teams and basketball teams, which is pretty interesting. I didn't know that. And then he was a major donor to the U.S. Republican Party and to conservative causes, including a focus on the family and the American Enterprise Institute. And he also supported the candidacies of Rick Santorum and Newt Gingrich. In 1987, President Ronald Reagan appointed DeVos to the President's Commission on the HIV epidemic and was criticized at the time for categorizing people with AIDS as wanting special treatment. He was a dedicated opponent of same-sex marriage. So that's who Rich is. He very involved in conservative United States politics back in the 80s and 90s. Same with the whole with Amway in general, which I found pretty interesting. And then here, he co-founded the Richard and Helen DeVos Foundation, an American conservative foundation and grant-making body in 1970. Maybe we can make a video on that, because we did a video on Money Gratitude and their corporate foundation, so maybe we can do one on this. And we don't need to go through all that. So that's a little bit of background on our friend Rich DeVos. And now I'm really excited to get into the video. Let me just share my screen again. So this video is less outrageous than the other two Amway videos we've watched so far on this channel. It's less inflammatory and out there, but just because he sounds more reasonable, if we really listen to what he's saying, it's still very, very problematic, of course. So I turned up the volume on this a little bit more than I usually would. So can you guys tell me if it's too loud or too quiet in the comments? So I'm ready to get started. Holy crap, look at all those people. How many people do you think are there? That could be like 50,000 people. Now, I'm not sure if they're in Amway or they're potential Amway recruits, but imagine if like those 50,000 people all paid like, I don't know, $100 to go into that event. That's crazy. That's a huge stadium. And you'll see there's people like up here too, and all the way in the back in the first bowl, and then all these people on the floor. If you've been in Amway and you've been to big events like this, where there's like tens of thousands of people, how much did you have to pay to get in? And what kind of information did you learn?
Thank you. And those of you that know me know that the next thing we do is sit down. Wonderful, warm welcome in a magnificent facility filled with people who come because they care.
So if we don't come to this potentially expensive Amway event, it means we don't care about our business and we don't care about becoming a better person. I don't know if that's what he means, but I hate that kind of rhetoric, and we hear it a lot related to MLM conventions and events.
I still haven't figured out what Caro was wearing. 22 years ago, Caro joined this business, just like some of you who are here today considering what the Amway.
Thank you, Live Panic, for always reassuring me that the audio is okay. I appreciate that.
Business is all about. And they will explain to you all about the wonderful products that we make and that we market. And they will explain to you about the Amway plan and draw funny lines on pieces of paper. You sponsor this one and they sponsor that one, and you do this and you do that, and the other one does this, and they send you money. As good as all that is, there's more. I did not come here today to draw the lines or the circles or explain the plan or the products, but to share with you the greater concepts of the Amway business, which involve a new vision for your life.
So he didn't gather these tens of thousands of people there on that day to learn some product knowledge or to learn how to actually make money in their job. He's bringing them there to teach them about the concepts concepts behind the Amway business. I don't understand why these MLM conferences and events can't just have actual business advice. Hey, you want to make some money in Amway? This is how you're going to make some money in Amway. Hey, people are asking you questions about our Amway cleaning products. Here's some information on our products. Of course, it's nothing that will actually help these distributors make money, because if they sit there and say, you have to recruit a bunch of people and then you're going to make money, people will think, oh, well, I'm not very outgoing. I can't communicate well with strangers. I'm not going to make any money and I want to quit. So I understand why they withhold these details, but it's very it's on purpose. They're not just saying, oh, we want to share philosophical garbage. It's on purpose, and they're withholding this information on purpose so as to create a very specific image of the Amway business.
We share this with you because that is what happened to us many years ago. We went to a little meeting in Chicago where there were maybe 100 people, and they presented us the story of what is today the concepts of Amway. At that time, I was 23 and Jay was 24, and we were looking for a new business to get into. We had known from when we got out of high school that we weren't looking for a job. We were looking for a business that we could own, and that was important to us.
We hear a narrative now with modern day MLM distributors where people in their early 20s will talk about how when they were done school, just like what, not Doug, Rich, we're going to talk about Doug later. Rich, like Rich said, when they were done school, they didn't want to just have a job. They wanted to own their own business and like own their own time. We hear that a lot nowadays. And I think it's a really idealized vision of life after graduation in modern times. When I was done school, I just wanted to get a job that kind of related to what I wanted to do with my life and that could pay the majority of my bills. I was not looking for something where I could just take off and run away to Europe or like South America for a month and not have to worry. A lot of people now in MLMs have a pretty idealized vision of life after university and expect it to be this amazing, brilliant job where they can just work whenever they want and they get paid amazing amounts of money and they don't have to do anything they don't want to do. And unfortunately, that's not reality. So RK said, I learned the other day my dad joined Amway in the 80s briefly. My mom doesn't have fond memories, to say the least. Wow. Yeah, at least it was just briefly, right? And so hopefully he got out without like significant damage to his relationships or finances. But a lot of people, we know, are stuck in these systems for decades. And even though they're not really making any money, they still stay in the system because of inspirational talks like this that we're going to listen to.
That may not have been important to you. You may never have even thought about owning your own business and the power to control what happened to you.
Nice comment, Rich. I'm getting serious People's Temple / Jim Jones vibe from this dude. So he said a lot of people don't even think about owning their own business and having the control over what happens to you. So it's either you own your own business and you have control over your life, or you don't own your own business, you have a job and you have no control over anything and you don't get to make any of your own choices. It's very black and white.
Most people come out of school and look for a job, which means that somebody else will control you, tell you when to come to work, tell you when to go home, and tell you what to do. We did not want that. We wanted to be able to own our own business and control our own lives. And if you're here today to find out about something like that, then you're in the right place.
So Jay and Rich, they did not want a job. They wanted to be able to control their own life. And if we also want to control our own life, then we're in the right place. Statements like that, I think, are very manipulative because, of course, if someone says, hey, do you want to be able to control your own life? 99% of people are going to be like, yeah, I want to control my own life. And he's making it seem like if you're in Amway, you'll have complete control over everything you do at any time. And you won't have anyone telling you what to do. And he's also making the presumption that in a job you're going to be like the slave to your boss. But a lot of people, especially nowadays, have really flexible workplaces. In mine, it's like they want you to work approximately the right amount of hours each day, but they don't really care. You could work 4 hours one day and make up for it later. And a lot of places are a lot more flexible now, and this kind of argument is not relevant now. Of course, this was in 2004, but just because you have a job does not mean you're controlled all the time. Except all these MLMs control their distributors' lives. Yeah, exactly. And that's really, really sad. Yeah, like when I go to work, I work for 7 hours a day, and then I come home and I don't have to do anything. If I was in Amway, I would be expected to be on all of these calls and work whenever my upline tells me to work and never miss a chance to sign up a new distributor or sell a product. I have more control over my life now than I would if I was in an MLM. Imagine discouraging new college grads to join MLMs instead of getting a regular job. Yeah. I know, it's really sad. And especially during that time, I don't know about you guys, when I was 22, 23, like your brain's not fully developed yet. You don't have a lot of like real life experiences yet, and you're kind of lost, right? You're in like an in-between stage in your life. And a lot of people are like really desperate to find their first like adult job. And I feel like college kids are like, or very, very recent grads are like perfect prey to MLMs, unfortunately.
But to do that assumes that you are willing to take responsibility for your actions and be willing to do things you may never have done before. On the way home from that meeting in Chicago, Jay and I decided to devote our full-time efforts to this business. I'm 78 years old now, so I have devoted my life to this business, sharing this business, and helping people like you get started in this business. And so today, millions of people are involved, owning their own business, controlling their own lives, and improving their condition in society.
He was just telling us about how he's been in this business his whole life since he was pretty much a kid at 23 and his partner was 24. So now at this point in time being 78 years old, and he controls his own life and his own destiny. And what makes me sad is the people who have been stuck in this cycle for like a decade or 5 years, even 1 year, right? Because it's not only money that people are wasting, it's also time and memories and times with your children and your friends and your loved ones. And it's just so sad that people are missing out on so much of their lives to be stuck in systems like this, where you have top distributors and top MLM figures like him just shoving inspirational trash down your throat just to keep you in the system longer. Oh, hi, Band Live Export. He says DeVos was at odds with Dexter Yager. Interesting. I'm sure mom and dad were paying their bills at this time. Yeah. When I was in school, my parents definitely supported me a little bit here and there when I needed it, because like it's really hard to work a lot and then also be in school as well. It's hard to do both. DeVos said the importance of tools were overstated. So you have told me this several times, and I've seen on other YouTube videos about the Amway tool scandal. So I will do some research on that, and eventually we'll do a video on it. That will take a bit more time for me to prepare, and I'm still in like a really busy stretch, and I don't really have a lot of time to do research, but that will come at some point.
You will discover it's not just a business of selling products and getting bonuses or figuring out numbers. It's a business of the heart that involves your relationship with people all over the world. And when it comes to talking about...
Very few jobs are actually based on relationships. I'd say like nurses and like social workers, or say you work in an NGO and you travel around the world. That would actually be a job where you are forming relationships with people around the world, not this. You're forming relationships to manipulate people, in my opinion.
About the heart, I'm qualified to speak. In fact, I wrote a book about it. And it's available through, we're all selling books today, but it's available through Amway, called Hope from My Heart. And it tells about my heart-changing experience. I talk about that book because it will tell you about the heart side of this business and the important things that I believe you do when you get involved in this business, and how you learn to become a person of loving and caring about others. Now, there is also another version of that book sold in the bookstore, but this is the cheap model. This is the one with the pictures. Now, 7 years ago, I received a new heart. I have a woman's heart today because of a heart transplant I received in London, England. But my doctor, who helped me when my first heart failed me and when I was close to death, is with me on this trip. And I want you to meet him and his wife. So I have Dr. Rick and Kate McNamara right down here in the front row. I've never been here before. Give them a big welcome. Stand up, Rick and Kate.
Similarly to a lot of individuals in MLMs, he's sharing a pretty traumatic story where he had to have an open heart transplant. And let's just think of the motive. In a normal circumstance, if someone's sharing that on the internet, it might just need to be like, I want to connect with other people who have similar experience. Maybe they're looking for support themselves. But we know in MLM, when you're sharing something traumatic or scary, there's always a reason behind it. So BandLive Export said a smaller percentage of people became diamonds after the tools. Can you let me know what you mean by that? Like, was it harder for people to rank up to diamond after the Amway tool scandal started? Can you let us know? Okay, I'm 52. My childhood BFF has been in Amway since the 90s. Our friendship fell apart because I refused to sign up under her and discouraged a couple of mutuals from doing that as well. I miss her, but ... That's so sad. And unfortunately, that happens a lot. A lot of times in MLMs, relationships are ruined and people lose friendships and spouses. And I'm really, really sorry to hear that. Sky says, okay, woman's heart. Why does that matter? We'll see in a second. He's going to explain it a bit more.
Now, as I mentioned to you, I have a woman's heart. That gives me the privilege of being a little late for things. And at least in the United States, that gives me the privilege of changing my mind once in a while. And hopefully, it makes me more sensitive to matters of the heart, for it is from the heart that we derive our emotions and our energy to take on and meet new challenges.
Are you saying women can't make decisions? Because you're saying it gives you the right to change your mind. I can make decisions, well, sir. Don't make assumptions, please.
This is a business where your heart has to be in it. And you have to believe that you can do it and overcome the resistance and the negative influence of others to move forward. So have a good heart for this business.
Yeah, so the woman's heart is just a sexist stereotype. Yes, Skyhop says this is not how things work. A man of his time, I guess. Yeah, really good point. Because if someone said something like that now about, I have a woman's heart, so that means I can change my mind. If they said that now, they would be called sexist. But this is 2004, so that's a really good point. Let's just like take his statements within like the context of the time period. Thank you for that. What? I just spit out my coffee. Yep. Guess my husband has the woman's heart then. That's funny. I like that. So he's saying that we have to have the heart. Our heart has to be in this business or else we're not going to find any success in Amway. And I've said this 1,000 times on my channel before. That's just another another measure that you can't actually quantify, you can't actually guarantee, to blame someone for them not having success in their business. If someone does exactly what people tell them to do in Amway, they listen to their upline exactly, and they're still not making any money, they could send this video of Rich and say, well, your heart's not in it. You don't have the emotion behind what you're doing to have success in Amway, when you can't actually prove if someone's heart is not in it or not.
Many of you have been here before, and you are a part of the organization. Others of you are guests, and you're brand new to the organization. So I kind of want to reach out to all of you, because I have to reassure you always of the foundations that are under this business to protect your business. What an honor it is for an old man to have so many people come out on a holiday weekend to learn.
That's Doug, one of the sons of the co-founder, right? And we're going to do a video on him at some point. I have a lot of Amway videos in my head that I want to do, but he has a lot of content on YouTube. These poor people are there on a holiday. Where's the time freedom, right? I'm sure we've all seen videos of like Beachbody coaches who are there on like Mother's Day having a meeting, or on Thanksgiving, or like Halloween. Why can't we just go and enjoy time with our families and our kids and our friends? Why do we have to be in a stadium full of 50,000 people on a holiday? I don't get it.
About their business and their potential in a business. I am overwhelmed myself when I see you come to see me, because I know that I'm just a sinner saved by the grace of God, and therefore we come here to share to you from our heart.
He's overwhelmed that all these people are here to see him because he is a sinner saved by the grace of God. Our other two Amway videos have had religious undertones, religious basis to it, and this man is not as fervent. He's not screaming in our faces, but he does have some statements here and there throughout his speech that, of course, are very, very religious and Christian, and we know that there's very strong religious values throughout Amway, and we learned, I think, in the Dexter Yeager stream from a few weeks ago, that it's still very much the case now, and the general religion is very, very strong Christian faith. Nothing wrong with that, but this is a work conference, remember, and if you're not working for a church, or say a Christian or a Catholic NGO or charity, I don't understand why religion needs to be a part of our work event. Good old faith manipulation. Yes, I'm sure we've all heard discussions of faith manipulation on every channel across YouTube. This is to really prey on the people's faith, and those who have their faith and their belief in God as a huge integral part of their identity, and it's to make them feel like God wants them to be there, and they're doing what God intends them to do when they hear rhetoric, I don't know what I'm saying, when they hear like narratives like this.
Allow me to share with you some of the founding principles on which this organization is owned, so that when you get discouraged or when doubts come, you will understand what's behind this business.
He's sharing all of this. He's going to share with us the basis of the business. So when we're doubting and we're feeling discouraged, we can draw on what he's going to say next to encourage us to keep pushing in our business. So this is good old personal professional development, which every MLM distributor everywhere has to do every single day.
This business was born at a time when freedom and the rights of individuals to do their own thing was seriously in question. People said then that communism was the way of the world. Socialism was the way of the world, with governments and dictators controlling everything. But when we
remember, Amway was founded, I think, 1959. Let me just look. Yes, Amway was founded in 1959.
started Amway, we built it on a founding principle of freedom that people have a right to be free and to do the things they wanted to do. And that the power of people, when they decide to lift themselves up, was greater than all the other powers. And we are demonstrating that with this business in all the countries in which we operate. Under an economic system of freedom, people have the right to get in this business or get out of this business. But I have talked to the people who have chosen not to get in this business, and they're mostly complaining about the fact that they don't have the things they'd like to have. And I don't have much patience with that because they have chosen that position, but that is their right. Or you can choose to step up to the line in this business and find out what you can do. Most all of you will discover you can do things you never thought you could do. You can advance farther than you ever thought you could advance once you put your heart into believing that you can do that.
So he's telling us that Amway is based on freedom, the freedom to join this business or not join this business. But he said that he's talked to people who didn't join and they're just complaining about their lives and where they are in their life right at that moment. And if only they just joined the business and they really just like lived up to their full potential and remember, put their woman's heart into the business, then they would be able to achieve everything they want to achieve. And he's not saying this, but in the modern MLM context, maybe have time freedom, financial freedom, build your own house with your Beachbody money if you want to, right? Buy a plane with your Beachbody money, right? And so he's phrasing it as Amway as like the answer to all of your problems. And in my opinion, you can be a better person, a better spouse, better mom, a better friend if you join Amway. And Amway is the only way you're going to mature and change as an adult. Even though as we just grow older and have new experiences, we all just change naturally. When I see people in WFAB and iGenius say, oh, the me of 2 years ago is nothing like the me now. Well, yeah, the same. Me 2 years ago is completely different than I am now because I've had different life experiences, I've gone through different things, and I've changed. It's not all because of the MLM. We can change without an MLM.
I know, because we did it. And as I look across the front of the hall where there are many people who are doing it, I see their heads nodding. They say, yes, we did it, we did it. And you know, when I watch all those people on the stage, I said, if they can do it, anybody can do it. If Kato can do it, anybody can do it. You don't have to wear outfits like that, though. You have the freedom not to wear things like that.
He's like ripping on this poor guy in front of 50,000 people. He said that this man was in for 22 years, and so they probably know each other and they're probably friends. But like, stop making fun of this poor man in front of this many people.
Let's just talk about the second point a moment, and that is family. A family is the basic social structure in our society. Everybody I know has a mother and father. No surprise, is there?
Not true. Not true nowadays. I know this is a societal problem, not just an Amway problem, but there's a big assumption that everyone is heterosexual and that no one identifies as any other identity. I know that he's a man of his time. He was raised during the Great Depression, and this was a different time, of course, but let's not assume everyone has the same sexuality.
So you come from a family, and although some of you are working in this business as a single, many of you are husbands and wives working together. And that's why you will find in every function that we have, it's men and women together. You will find when we have award trips to Hawaii or Dubai or California, it's the husbands and wives that we invite together. We don't just take one or the other. I want to make sure they're getting the message.
Why do you think that is? I think it's because you want to make sure that both spouses are fully engaged in the business and that you're the wife or the husband of whoever's in the business, the spouse, the partner. They're not going to like be a negative dream stealer like Dexter Yeager and Bill Britt have said in the past videos. And you probably want to make sure that all of their eggs are in the Amway basket. And I don't know if this is completely relevant here, but big push in MLMs to retire your husband, and that would make it even harder for a man or a woman to leave their MLM if their spouse stopped working because of their MLM income, and all their eggs are in the LuLaRoe basket or the Beachbody basket. So of course it's going to be harder to leave. Even back then, there were plenty of one-parent households. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Message up there. They're a little closer to heaven than we are. So we want to lift you up, even though you're starting at a high level. You can still be in our family.
You can still be in our family. You can be in our family as long as you buy the products, as long as you recruit people, as long as you meet all of our requirements and you continue to pay into the system, then you can be a part of our Amway family. So it's a family that you have to pay a lot of money to enter, which is very, very sad because I'm sure a lot of people don't have meaningful relationships and connections with their family members and are really like searching for nurturing relationships or like a father figure relationship, and they could see Rich DeVos say, you can be a part of our family, and that could really draw them in. And I feel like someone who's especially lonely could hear him say that and go, wow, I could be a part of his family, like the DeVosses. I could be part of his family, but like he's talking about, in my opinion, the Amway family, but a lonely person may interpret that differently. What do you think? Do you think I'm overthinking that statement? I tend to do that a lot.
Just to strengthen the family picture of how we think about things as a company. This company is a family-owned company. It's not a public company. It's a private company owned by two families. And that's important to you because you're not dealing with some loose organization. You're dealing with people who are a part of families that move and drive and lead the business. You met our son, Douglas, who is president and who runs this business today, along with my partner's son, Steve. So you have family members in the management structure. We are surrounded with many, many other wonderful, qualified people. But we keep those spots for family members.
Yes, so he's right in that sense. The Amway company is run by Van Andels and DeVosses now. This will be just a quick interlude. Quick one. Okay, this is the board of directors, okay? So I'm going to look just for Van Andels and DeVosses. So Steve Van Andel, the son of one of the founders, Doug DeVos, the son of the man that we are listening to, Dick DeVos, Dan DeVos, Barbara Van Andel Gabby. So she's married, but she kept her Van Andel last name. David Van Andel. And that's it. So we all know that the board of directors holds the leadership team accountable. So there doesn't appear to be any DeVosses or Van Andels on the global leadership team right now, but this team answers to this team, which is overtaken by Van Andels and DeVosses. So it's still the case now where the company is run by the family. So I'm just going to get my screen back to the video and we can continue. Okay.
That's just to assure all you young people, and you're all young, that this business is run by young people.
He's making it sound so amazing that the company, is run by families. All companies are run by someone who's a member of a family. You could say the same thing about Walmart. You could say the same thing about Amazon. He's making it seem like there's some small, like tight-knit, family-owned and run business. You're not. You're a multi-billion-dollar global MLM company. It doesn't matter that two men in two separate families founded the company, and then now their children run the company. Like, that doesn't really matter. And he's trying to get to the point. He's trying to make the point that it's such a supportive, lovely environment because it's run by family members, but that doesn't matter when you're a multi-billion-dollar company.
Third principle is hope. When Jay and I started, we were just a couple of poor guys, and we wanted to make a living, but we had the hope that we could someday do better. Now, our hope was to have our own business, which we now have, and our dreams are greater, have been exceeded everything we ever imagined ourselves. It's so much bigger and better than we ever thought it would be. And that's what we want for all of you, to enlarge your life. And when you see your hopes come true in this business, you'll not only make some more money, but you will make new friends. And you'll have new associates, and you'll find yourself thinking on a different level.
So all you have to do is have hope, and then you'll succeed in Amway, and you will find new associates and new friends in Amway, which you cannot do anywhere else, of course. Like, you can't find new associates and friends like in a club or a sports team. It only happens in Amway. And of course, the only way you're going to mature and become more intelligent is if you join Amway, because then if you're in the company, your thinking process will become more complex and you'll have more knowledge about the world, of course.
So hope is what we offer. That's not just numbers. That's a lifestyle change of spending your time associated with people who think ahead instead of complaining about what's behind. We're no different than any of you.
What does that sound like? So you have to surround yourself with people who think ahead. We've heard in modern day MLM distributors that you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. So if you hang out with people who are negative, who maybe aren't happy in their job, aren't like taking active steps to change it, then you're going to become negative and unhappy in your job. And you have to be around people who have the same goals as you, and or even more higher goals, and who push you to achieve your fancy high goals. I hate that, because why do your friends have to have a purpose? Can your friends just be your friends and not be sitting there pressuring you to continually improve like your education or your employment? There's a stream I saw a little while ago, and a commenter said something I thought was really interesting, that in these MLMs, you can never just be content with your life. You can never be happy with the money you're making or your relationships or your job. You have to always want something more. Well, what if we're happy with our friendships? What if we are happy with our personality or our intellect, and we think we don't need Amway in order to improve ourselves? Right? But of course, in MLM, there's no space to just be happy and content with where you are in your life. You always have to have massive dreams. You always have to want to make huge money so you can travel the world. And you can't just want to have like a simple, quiet, fun life with your kids and your spouse.
One day we sat in a meeting like you're sitting in, and we were given hope. And on our way home, we decided to do something about it and get on with it. And that's what's happening to you today. The fourth one deals with rewards. Rewards come in 2 forms, one financial and one recognition.
I've said this 1,000 times on my channel before. I don't want recognition. How is recognition going to like pay my bills? I want money. But of course, in MLM, people get paid in like 10,000 different ways, and a lot of them are not financially based.
You want to be rewarded for what you do, but wouldn't it be nice to be in an organization where you were appreciated for what you do also? And that's why the people in this business talk to you about those rewards. They talk to you in terms of bonuses and trips that they have taken. When I was in high school,
if we were actually making a reasonable wage, we could afford to save our money and then go on these trips ourselves. We don't need to meet certain sales and recruitment quotas under Amway and then go on a trip that's not actually fully paid for, and that the amount that is paid for we have to claim on our taxes. And I wonder why in MLM, like say Beachbody, you're paid with like useless trash like souvenirs and stuff. You'll get paid for hitting Success Club by like t-shirts and backpacks and hats. And then if you like hit it for a whole year, you get a bigger prize at the end of the year. Well, why can't we just get like a $300 or $400 bonus every time we hit Success Club? Why do we, in an MLM, why aren't we paid financially? There should only be one way to earn, in my opinion, and that should be through my paycheck. Now, if I were to get a trophy from work, I would be absolutely thrilled and I'd probably keep it forever. But just a trophy is useless. I want a trophy, which is totally optional. I don't need it. I want a trophy with my regular paycheck and my overtime pay and my paid time off and my sick time and my RSPs and my pension.
And I must confess to you, that's as far as I got with my formal education. It was a Christian high school.
He just said he only graduated high school, and I think that makes high levels of success seem even more attainable because he's not very highly educated, but he's a multi-billionaire who founded a massive multi-billion-dollar MLM company, and so that could make someone who maybe doesn't have high levels of education, who doesn't have a lot of work experience, who's not good at sales, make it seem like the success is more attainable than it actually is in reality. And we hear this a lot in MLM where distributors will say, oh, well, I've never done sales before. I started with 0 Instagram followers. I started here. I started there. And the whole assumption is that if I can do it, you can do it too, which we know is false.
And a pastor there, a minister who taught Bible, wrote something in my yearbook. My grades were not very good, and somebody told me I wasn't college material anyway, but he wrote in my yearbook a very important phrase. He said, to a clean-cut young man with talents for leadership in God's kingdom. In those days, we didn't discuss leadership much. It was kind of a foreign word, but he planted this seed in my mind that this was something that I could do. 40 years later, we had a class reunion, and I was running the meeting, and I got up to say, 40 years ago, Dr. Greenway, you wrote something in my yearbook. And he said, don't tell me, I'll tell you. I remember what I wrote in your yearbook 40 years ago. And he quoted the line back to me. At first, I thought he wrote that in every kid's yearbook. But I discovered he did not. That shows you the importance of words of encouragement that you pass on to other people in their life. And so I pass them on with you as a part of what we are all about, is that you have talents for leadership in God's kingdom that you haven't even discovered yet. And my father taught me one other phrase.
So he's telling us how important words of encouragement are. And then I think it's also maybe referring to, if you give these words of encouragement to your downline, then they will also like rise to your level of success, and they will like make you lots of money in your Amway business. But he's using this story, I think, to say, like, he was just a high school kid who wasn't making a lot of money. He had this beautiful piece of encouragement in his yearbook. And now look at him. He's a billionaire in a multi-billion-dollar company. And so he's passing off that encouragement to you. And now you can go off and become a billionaire in Amway too, just because he said this useless motivational trash to you. What do you think about that? So Lilac Llama. Oh my God, I love that name. Is that a llama in your picture? That's awesome. I love llamas. He reminds me of a church leader from when I was a kid. Doomy, gloomy, and shame. Oh yeah, I know. Like, it's nice that he's not screaming in our faces, but I think his delivery is not the most exciting thing in the world, which is why I said at the beginning, like, his I said, like, it's not as outrageous, and so, like, it's not as exciting to watch, but I still found it pretty interesting because a lot of what he was saying is really relevant to the MLM industry now. So we're almost done. I know this is a bit of a longer stream.
And that wraps up all the things I've said about freedom, family, hope, and reward. And his line was, and I share that with you also, that despite all the doubts and questions, the people who brought you here can answer them. Remember, God gave you talents, and you can do it. That's the line my father gave me. Go home from this place believing in yourself, in your God-given talents, and the things you're able to do instead of all the things you think you can't do. You can do it, and I thank you.
So that's the end of the video. Lilac Llama said, Team Llamas. Yeah, and when I was like a teenager into my 20s, I went to Bolivia a few times, and I always saw like llamas all over the roads and stuff, and it was really exciting, and I love llamas. So that's all I have for today. What do you guys think about this? I think there's a lot of interesting ideas throughout that we just have to have the heart to succeed in this business. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to block out the negative people. And then in Amway context, that'd be like what did they say? The negative dream stealers, I think is what Dexter would say. We have to just believe that we can succeed in Amway, and then we're just going to magically succeed because he told us that we have God-given talent, and all we need to do is just harness those talents, and then we're going to be super rich. So if anyone's watching now who's been to these kinds of Amway events, or anyone who watches the replay, can you let us know down below, like, how much did tickets to events like this cost? What was like your general schedule for these events? We've heard on a lot of different channels like Aaron B's recently and Jessica Hickson, these events are like, you will wake up early, you will go to bed late, you will not eat much, you won't have time to drink water or go to the bathroom. So you're like exhausted, you're overwhelmed, you're starving, and that will really like lower your inhibitions and make it less likely that you're going to question the information and the ideologies that you hear. So if you have experience in events like this, tell us all about your experiences down below. As culty as everything, despite his low-key delivery. Yeah, I know. I totally agree. And the Panic, you might have said this in the past. I don't remember. But just because someone is like chill with their delivery and not screaming in our face doesn't mean that it's not predatory. This could even be more predatory because it's not Dexter Yeager yelling at us. It's just someone like chilling and chatting with us. But we really have to like listen to like what's underneath the narrative that's going on underneath the conversation to understand whether or not it's predatory. Okay, so Lilac Llama said, maybe you're combining it with your comment above. I'm really sorry that this guy is speaking for Amway cult event. Yeah, I know this is a cult event, but it's a very like relaxed, chill cult event, right? Lift Panic says culty plus awkwardly dated. Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to do more of these Amway videos. I'm fascinated by it and really excited to do more of this. And I hope you liked this. I know it's like not as exciting and not as like in your face terrible as a lot of the other anti-MLM videos that we'll see across YouTube, but I think it's still important to cover videos like this, even though it might not be as entertaining. I think it still like has educational value, of course, and I learn a lot listening to these Amway videos, and I hope you guys do too. I'm actually streaming again tomorrow. I'm really excited. I haven't done a Ray Higdon video in 600 years, and I'm really excited to do a Ray Higdon video tomorrow at 4:30 my time. And so if you're free tomorrow, you can come join us live. But if you're not free, that's okay. If you want, you can just watch the replay. So I'm going to get going in a second. So thank you, Lift Panic and Gary and Sky and Rich and RK and But wait, there's more with Des Hickson. Anyone else? Ban Live Export. Ban Live Export, RK, and Lilac Llama. Thank you to you guys for watching live and for commenting. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for sticking through this longer stream. Rich says, thanks again, Heather. You're welcome, Rich. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And I'm really, really excited to see you guys tomorrow. That's all. Bye.